Hello, my name is Ben Powers and welcome to the Southport School. We're located in the beautiful historic village of Southport, and we are so excited to share with you today our new arts and music building. Last year, the Southport School made an incredibly important decision to acquire the historic Southport Savings Bank building, the oldest continually operating bank building in the history of the United States. Adjacent to our campus, it will elevate and create an entirely new and enriching experience for our students, especially around the arts, music, and movement. So we're going to go inside, and I'm going to show you around and explain some of the changes that are going to happen for our kids and our community as we enter the whole new era of the Southport School. All right, before we go inside, it's important that you know we spent the last year doing an entire gut renovation of this building, right down to the original brick from 1865. Everything that's in this building, from the lighting to the flooring to the colors on the wall to the way that we design the pattern in the art room and the journey up the staircase, is designed to reflect the great potential, creativity, and imagination that resides in our learners. So let's go in and take a look. All right, we're almost there. The building's almost done. This space looks nothing like it did just a few months ago. In fact, a year ago, if you had walked through these same doors, you would have been greeted by a bank teller and a huge vault that resided in the dead center of this space. Today, it's completely different. We've got beautiful color and light on the walls. We've got an incredible tunable lighting system. We think it's one of the first installations of any school in the United States. The lighting will adjust during the day to create the optimal learning environment for our students. From the bright, natural hardwood floors to our brand new, custom designed teacher training technology that we can implement so that we can train teachers all over the world. This room has a whole new life that it's going to provide to benefit our kids and the future of our school. But we also want to celebrate the history of this building. And so during the construction and design process, we thought of ways that we could maintain parts of the historic nature of this building. And one of the most important elements is the bank vault door, the original bank vault door from the Southport Savings Bank. Let me show it to you. This door was originally installed and custom built for this space back in 1865. And it serves as a reminder of the historic nature of this building and what its original purpose was. And just like the students that we serve here at the Southport School, it's a good reminder that the history and the foundation of our roots is really important to remember and celebrate, but that there's also the limitless potential that resides in front of us as we adapt and change and grow and realize our potential. And that's the beautiful synergy that exists between this fresh, modern space and the historical nature of the bank building and the vault door.
This building has an amazing history. The Southport Savings Bank was chartered in 1854. The founder of the bank, Mr. Marquand, was an amazing gentleman. He was a very successful silversmith in New York City, sort of the Tiffany of his time. In the mid-1800s, moved to Southport and formed, along with 26 other incorporators, this bank. It was co-located in that building across the street for approximately 10 years when the incorporators decided they want a building of their own. And they allocated $900 to purchase the lot across the street and $12,000 to build the building, which was constructed during the Civil War from 1863 to 1865. It's a combination of Greek Revival and Italianate Renaissance. The Greek Revival being the triangular pediment at the top, and the Italianate Renaissance being the arched windows and the heavy pediment underneath the windows. It was the oldest continuously operated bank in the United States, starting from 1865 and going all the way through 2016. As far as artifacts are concerned, we've come up with a couple of very interesting ones. First of all is a copy of the original building contract from 1864, handwritten on sheepskin, which specifies all of the elements of the building, from the materials that were used to the style. One of the things that the document specifies is that the vault, which is built of solid granite blocks, was to be pinned together with iron bolts or iron balls. And here in my hand is one of 19 iron balls that we found in the construction of the vault. And it's remarkable to think how they built that vault and this building 150 years ago, of course, because they didn't have paved roads, they didn't have steam shovels, they didn't have backhoes or bulldozers or any of that stuff. So the entire building, including the moving of these 1 ton plus granite blocks, was all done by hand. And I can only assume that they had ropes and pulleys to hoist them into place. So the only way to keep the depositors' money safe in this bank was to make it into a fortress, which it was. And I have liked to call this building the Little Fortress. It had immense, and still does, steel doors on the front, iron shutters on all of the windows, and of course this incredible vault to keep the bad guys out, because there was no calling the police if there were a robbery or the alarm system that went off or anything like that. The only solution was to keep the bad guys out, which they did. The bank was never robbed in those 150 years and successfully kept their depositors' money safe.
Safe door weighs 7 tons, so that is 14,000 pounds. When the decision was made to salvage the safe and relocate it, a lot of hard thought had to take place. The slab wouldn't take the weight. So we actually had to reshore the slab when we took it down, where we stored it on the floor, and then we had to map out a roadway to get it over and up in place. The vault door itself sat in a 1-inch steel frame, about 2.5 feet thick. The vault frame itself weighed probably close to 4 tons. When we cut that up and had to have it disposed, we had to cut it in anywhere between 18 to 24-inch strips, and then it took 2 men to carry it out of the building. Which was unique about this building was we couldn't use cranes, we couldn't use backhoes in this building. So everything we did was all by hand. The removal of the vault, which was solid granite, 2 feet thick, was done by hand. We had to go out and buy a $90,000 saw to cut the vault up, the granite. We had to go in and reshore the vault because the roof and the floor was solid granite. The good news is all that granite was salvaged and repurposed. Some of it you're going to see in this building. The bathrooms, the entranceways, the vestibule in here are all brought back into the building to remind people of the history of the building, and the gift of the granite was given back to us. The brick on the outside of this building, after we did some forensic studies, is a London red clay. It's a very soft brick. It was ballast that was brought over in the ships from England to the United States. Well, that posed to be an issue because a London red brick is a very soft brick. So when we started doing the restoration work in this building, we determined that there was about approximately 250 brick that had fractured and had failed on the outside of the building. Where do you get the brick? They don't make the brick anymore, and there aren't too many buildings still around that are 150 plus years old. We were able to salvage the brick from the gable end of the building that we had a large opening that we cut into to support the new elevator and stairway. That brick was cleaned and salvaged and replaced to the exterior of the building to replace the brick that had failed. But added to that, we had to determine the strength of the mortar. If we put mortar in the building that was too strong, it would cause the brick to crack. So we brought in another forensic study and we figured out what the composition of the mortar was and had special mortar made up that mimicked the same strengths and characters of the existing mortar. So when we put the mortar and the bricks into the building exterior would not fail again, cracking around the windows. As that, we started to determine how the building was built, what we had to do to stabilize the building, and made sure that the building was safe and would last another 150 years. To do that, we brought in numerous engineers to make sure that the process that we were doing was the right process. There's been a lot of love and a lot of gifts given to this building to make sure it is accurately correct for the period of time it was built.
So one of the beautiful things about this building is that it hides what's inside. It's kind of just like our kids, who some people haven't seen the potential that resides in them before until they get here into the Southport school community. So when you look at the building from the outside, you'd never guess that there are actually 4 floors in this space. The first floor is for visitors and current family members and other important people who come into our school community to be welcome. The second floor is our space for music and movement, and it's also a space where we will do teacher training. The third floor is that rich suite of advancement offices that include communications, marketing, development, alumni, fundraising. And when students come up onto the 4th floor, they'll be ready to make a mess in this gorgeous new art space that's ready for them to come in and tackle all the areas of creativity and imagination that they have inside their heads and be able to translate that out into work that they can do in this beautiful new space.
It's our responsibility to provide our students with those skills that they need to be successful adults. These include learning skills such as creativity and critical thinking. We need to develop our students' literacy skills that incorporate both digital and media literacy. And we also need to help educate our kids in life skills that will help them engage in healthy habits that will promote a positive social, emotional, and physical well-being. All of our teachers are responsible for inputting, participating in the development and design, and also the execution of these programs. So their ideas, their views, their thoughts and opinions are taken into consideration on a daily basis. And they're active members of the development of these programs.
So it's very exciting to have this new space. The largest instructional space on our campus will be dedicated to both music and art, along with these extracurriculars. And this experience will broaden the horizons of many students. Our students come to us with many talents, some of them hidden and undiscovered. And experiences like this, in some cases, help their passion grow and put them on a path to success in areas that aren't necessarily academically driven. We have many creative thinkers and many students who work with their hands, whether it's painting or drawing or working on cars or building, and it will give them the opportunity to explore some hidden talents.
I think art is a way to express yourself. You can really use it as a means of, taking time out of your day to de-stress, using it as a coping tool. And I think expression is so hard for a lot of our students, whether it be verbally or written, that this is another tool that they can use. And I really want them to kind of take that away from this program and use it as a tool that they can kind of carry with them throughout their whole life. So using a multisensory approach is something Orton Gillingham definitely emphasizes, really sequencing the lessons, building upon them one after another. We emphasize the process over the product here. It's not about the final outcome, it's kind of about the journey along the way. We always start small, introduce the artist. I have them plan at least 3 or 4 ideas before deciding on a final decision, because art making is really just problem solving, and sometimes your first idea isn't always the best one. So taking them through this process really helps them academically. All of these things kind of translate over to that as well.
We are looking at the research and having that inform our music program. We've been working together to research different music approaches, as well as with a team of teachers from the Southport School to understand what kind of instruction would best suit our students based on the research. So the plan for the development of our music program is still in the making. Jenny Zook and I are going to be working together to find the right instructor for this program, someone that can not only deliver the instruction to the students, but also be a part of developing the program in a way that speaks to the research.
Our hope is that through the establishment of this partnership, we will be able to consider what the best music pedagogy and program may be to meet the needs of the children at the Southport School by both considering what we know from research-based evidence to date, and then also getting to draw on the expertise that we have within the school system to really bring these two pieces of knowledge together and develop a custom-made curriculum that will best suit the needs of every child here.
The research supports that there are non-musical effects to music instruction for students with ADHD and learning disabilities that encompass phonological awareness, executive functions, and reading development. And we want to capture all of that and put it into our music program to better the experience for the students.
Our hope is that through engagement in both music and the rigorous tutoring and reading training that children are receiving throughout the day, that perhaps through this both and mentality, we can see a maximal benefit in promoting these children's development. And so in terms of where we are right now and what we know, we wouldn't advocate for someone to just be in music, but we hope that it's music and tutoring that made together give the child like an additional push to help them in their best path they can reach.
The beauty of this program and its design is that not only are we keeping the academic program intact, but we're enhancing what we're adding to the program in the extracurricular piece without sacrificing any academic time, instructional time in the classroom. So it's a win-win all around.
And we have alumni that come back year after year and talk about the wonderful experiences that they've had. And oftentimes, yes, they talk about how wonderful their teachers were, but they really relay those enrichment experiences. And I think this new building is going to be a wonderful opportunity to provide a dedicated space and thoughtful programming to help better inform their co-curriculars. And they'll have new things to look back on when they come back to visit.
We partner actively in the research community and partner with other organizations that serve the kinds of students that we do so that we can make sure we are on the leading edge of knowing what are the best practices that are sound research and evidence-based practices that we can put in front of our students so that we can maximize the time that they are with us here at the Southport School.
So one of the things I'm really excited about with this new building is the opportunity it's going to allow us to provide professional development. We are really increasing our reach with professional development, more teachers presenting at conferences, but we have such amazing resources and knowledge here. What's great is to be able to bring people here to us.
4 years now we have been working on training not just teachers at the Southport School, but teachers from other areas in the community, and that has been incredibly rewarding. We have teachers from local public schools who come in and get training, and it enables them to be able to go back into their classrooms and use the Orton-Gillingham approach in their public schools, often being able to provide help to students who don't have the resources to attend a school like this. But even more than that, having this building and this space available to us is going to open up the number of teachers that we can train and also the geographical area that we can work within. Right now we can really only attract teachers from the local area, but there are kids in need all across the country and in other countries, and teachers who don't have the resources to be able to provide what these students need. And with the technology that we have coming into this building, we'll be able to record webinars, we'll be able to reach teachers in other countries, not just to train them, but also to mentor them, to supervise them. And that way we can really be a part of improving the literacy outcome for kids all over the United States and the world.
So one of the big innovations we've seen in the field of learning and attention issues is a whole science around really being able to visually see in the brain the actual differences that exist within our students.
So we were able to find that in these brain regions that are important for phonological processing, children with musical training were showing more brain engagement, more brain activation during that task, whereas children with dyslexia were showing less activation. The fact that we were observing these differences based on experience within a brain region important for phonological processing suggests that it's possible that musical training is in itself training a neural mechanism that's beneficial for phonological processing.
We're also working with the Gab Lab on helping them to think about the early identification piece so that we can be out in front of students earlier and so that we can get them the right kind of education faster.
One of the most rewarding parts of this project was the stories I was told by the residents in the Southport community coming up and telling me about how their grandfather first brought them to that bank, and that's where they opened up their first checking account. And they gave me this blue book where they actually wrote it in by hand. And how they were so happy and so pleased that it wasn't a condo, it wasn't getting torn down, but it was giving a second life for the kids.
I think the people in Southport are very proud of the Southport School and the incredible work it's doing for our children. And now this former bank building is going to be a part of that, and educating our children, there's no more important task.